Good morning. Today is April 19th, and you are watching The Viewscreen. I am your host, Amy Nelson.
And I'm your host, Kelvin Wood. The Viewscreen is your weekly Star Trek magazine show, and we're here with our friends, special features, all the news, and we're sending lots of love to our Star Trek family all around the world.
Well, Kelvin, it has been another week.
I know.
How have you been?
I'm good. Look, we're matching today. We've both got our little branded t-shirts on. I think that's the first time this season we've done that.
Yes, and if you would like your t-shirt, head on over to Redbubble.
Yeah, I think there's a QR code somewhere we could maybe flash up. Yeah, I've had a great week. Thank you for asking. I finally got around to heading down to the Science Museum in London to check out the Star Trek exhibition that they put on for the 60th anniversary. So that was good.
So did you know that they were doing that before? Because the first I heard about it was from our good friend Rashid, who's there in London and was showing pictures and everything. And I'm like, Kelvin, did you know this was here in your neighborhood?
I knew. They did advertise it quite a lot on social media, and there's an IMAX cinema in the museum. So for the entire 13 weeks that the exhibit is on, they're showing a Star Trek movie one night per week. So I was fortunate. What a coincidence that I managed to arrange a work trip to London overnight. So I watched Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home on the IMAX. It was very funny. It came up at the beginning saying this movie has not been optimized for IMAX. And everyone just laughed, clearly, from 1986. But I didn't really get a chance to absorb the full experience of the exhibition because the Science Museum is very large and they haven't put all of the Star Trek content together. They've placed it all around the museum in what they call a warp trail. So you have to go and find it. So they had all of the medical instruments in the medicine section. They had B4's head in the engineering section. So there wasn't a huge amount of exhibits, but in honor of Christos, I did do lots of social media content for the shop. We all love a good museum shop, and I've got lots of little swag here. So I haven't got anything on social media. I wanted to give a little bit of a live on the view screen. So I've got some little key rings. And don't worry, I've got 4 sets of everything for Christos and Kristin and me and you as well.
Oh, yay. I collect keychains. So that is so beautiful. Love it.
And we've got, this one's upside down, so I'll just correct it. A little pin for the 60th. I don't know if that is showing properly.
There you go.
So yeah, I got the shot, and I did get a little Starfleet Command magnet as well.
Oh, love that. Oh my gosh, fun.
So I'll get those in the post.
I'll see you in August, right?
I think I can afford a few stamps, Amy. We're all right. I'll let you have them before. I know people won't want to wait until August. How has your week been?
You know what? It was a lovely, wonderful roller coaster ride. I mean, isn't that what life is about? It started off so good and life was moving smoothly, and then Friday hit and it just sort of fell apart, and then here we are, get to talk about Trek. So it's been very well. First, you moved on with the Science Museum because that's really fun that they put that throughout the museum and not just one exhibit. It sort of forces you to go through. And I love, Joel in the chat was like a Trek scavenger hunt. That's exactly what I was thinking. Perfect.
Yeah. The irony is I didn't have a huge amount of time because I was meeting friends for dinner, and the cinema, they only open the shop when the movie is on. They close the exhibit. So I wanted to see it. So I've shamefully never been to the Science Museum in London before. So I was running past all of these beautiful exhibits that are normally there to find the Star Trek content, take loads of pictures. So dismissive of all of this priceless artifacts in the museum that we've stolen from all over the world. So yeah, I need to go back. I need to go back and properly do the science exhibition. But it was great. I saw some former guests that we've had here on the view screen. I saw Dr. Alfredo and his lovely husband. I saw Tim from Star Trek Fact Files. And a few other of the London Trekkies, they were all there. So yeah, it was nice. It was lovely.
That is wonderful. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you got to go.
I think it's on until around September, actually. So it is running for quite a while. I mean, we're on movie number 4. So that however more weeks that is, that takes us up to 13. There's no section 31. Yeah. So yeah, get yourself down there, guys, in the UK if you can. It's great. And it's free as well. It's a free exhibit.
I do love that about your guys' museums. They're free. Well, thank you to everyone who's here in the chat. I see Joel is here.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Chad. And we have, that's us. Jim finally getting to watch live. So welcome. And next week, Jim will be with us.
Yeah, I hope you manage to sort yourself out live next week, Jim, because you've kind of got a big part next week in the show. Thanks in advance. So yeah, guys, if you're here, if you're with us live, drop a message in the chat, interact. That's the entire point of us. We like to have a chat with everyone who's on and being part of the community. Make sure you do hit the like and subscribe and notify button as well on YouTube, so you get alerted about a new episode of the Viewscreen.
Yes, very good. Well, shall we get to today's show?
Yeah. So coming up on today's show, we have Kristin's here with the news as always. Hello, my love.
Hello.
And we have a new guest, Bradley Barbour with Gay Trek Geeks Facebook group.
Hey, Brad.
Hello.
And returning, she's back. Queen of memes, Robin's here to talk about online community. Hey.
Hey, you guys.
So this is our online community week. We're going to be talking about all kinds of online groups, activities, all the things that we do, like the Viewscreen, to bring the community together. So we've got a jam-packed show. Shall we get on with it, Amy?
Yes, let's get going.
All right, let's head over to the newsroom with Kristin.
Hello, my dear.
Hello. Yes, sorry, I interrupted you there. I'm okay. I'm okay. Yes, I'm tired.
She's tired. You've had a medical emergency in the family this week, haven't you?
We have, and for all of us worry, it's not. Well, no, because some people actually like cats more than humans. It was our cat Benjamin, DeClerck Cisco. It was quite the story. I was walking our other cat out in the front yard. Ben saw us from the deck and decided he wanted to join. He also didn't want to wait, so he yeeted himself off of the little vestibule roof onto the grass. And I was like, what in the world? This is about 15 feet. I'm like, what? Sir, may I help you? So I hoisted them all both up, brought them inside, but then he started acting really weird. And it turns out what happened is that jump dislodged some crystals in his bladder, and they lodged and stuck in his urethra. So we had to take him in. Poor boy had his manhood laughed at and poked
and probed and
so now I have to give him a lot of pain meds because he's still in some discomfort, as the men out there, I'm sure, or the penis owning people will know. I'm sure having a catheter going up a very tiny hole in the wrong way is not your idea of a good time.
No.
So anyway, but he's okay. Justin and I are going to be eating ramen for the next couple of months, but it's
so expensive.
It's expensive, but he's our baby boy, right? And he's brought so much joy. Thank you, Chad. Yes, it was quite the thing, and I was very tired during the appointment, so I don't think the full impact of what had happened hit, and plus it happened late and I'd already taken my sleepy time gummy. Whoops. So Justin drove.
Good.
I just want to clarify that. So it was yesterday when everything just really started hitting about what happened. So anyway, he's doing okay today. He's purring. He's being his cute little self, but what a weekend. And now I've got to go back to work tomorrow. Oh, Chad's baby Jadzia is going to bed tomorrow. Your cat Jadzia and my cat Benjamin would probably get along really well.
Famously well, I imagine.
Famously well, yes. Oh, Unicamoon. So they went through that with my boy. There is a community of people out there with crystal bladder, whatever problems. So I was mentioning this to everybody before we came live, but the vet said, if male cats had been a car, they would have been recalled because they are so wrongly built in that area. Because right in their urethra, they have a little, like a little angle,
like a U-bend in a bathroom.
Yes. So instead of like with female cats, they can flush everything out more regularly. With male cats, it's like little Adam's gonna get stuck here and cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And cost you.
And now he's on really expensive food. So you're even more welcome. Anyway.
And you glamorize it by calling them crystals. Over here, we just say kidney stones. So, it's all the same kind of thing.
Is it the same thing?
I don't know. Well, they come through the urethra and they're very painful. So if I'm squirming in my seat a little bit, I always have sympathy pains there.
Yes, Jim also. Any pain in that area is unpleasant.
Yeah. Yeah, I never heard him howl like that. He's sitting in the kitty litter just like, and oh my God. So, nope. But the vet staff said that he's one of the sweetest kitties they'd ever met, and he was such a joy to have. And I was like, that's my boy. So, anyway, I'm so happy to just have a little bit of time to sit here with my community and just not think about the trauma from this weekend. So I'm very excited to be here this morning and talk about the news. Yes.
Let's move away from sick bay.
Yes.
And tell us what was going on earlier in the week for you doing your research then.
Exactly. So we have got a birthday celebration today for an episode. Live fast and prosper. I remember watching this live for the first time and thinking, what the crap is going on? Because the way that they start the episode was just so I'm Janeway and I'm Tuvok and I'm like, no, you're not. But there was no like previews or spoilers online back then. You just had to kind of watch and wait through the commercials. So after the intro, it comes back and was like, oh, okay, here we go. But this is one of those goofy little comedy episodes that I've always found so endearing. I've always loved it. So I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but whatever. Yes, Jim, this was a fun episode. It was a very, very fun episode. So I'm glad others see that.
I think this episode spawns quite a few memes as well. I think this scene with Janeway on the bridge. I'm thinking about the specific memes. Maybe Robin can help with that one later.
The one I know is the one where it's like, Mom, can we buy Janeway and Tuvok? And Mom's like, we have Janeway and Tuvok at home. Yes. This is the Janeway and Tuvok at home. Yeah. Not the same. So anyway, happy 26th birthday. 26.
Crazy.
Anyway, my meme of the week is very on brand with what I've gone through. So for those of you listening, it is the scene where Worf has agreed to watch Spot for Data. And Data goes, he answers to asshole or he is a needy little butthead, but with one brain cell. Do you even like this creature? I would die for him. He's biting me. He likes you. And I was like, this is very on brand for that scene as well. Also, when I went, my cat looked up and, hi, baby girl. So, yes, this is my meme of the week for those cat owners out there. This was so brilliantly done, and absolutely, excuse me, realistic to owning a cat.
Bless him.
We love these fair little creatures.
Yes.
Okay, so last week I talked about the auction going. The auction
Yes.
is live, y'all. It is live. For Auction 403 out of Toronto is now live. So those of you who live in Ontario, which one of our guests today does, you can get on and just start a bidding. So, and I know last week we were talking about cost. They're not bad.
Right?
So these are all like containers.
Yeah. What are we looking at here? I don't know if I've got old man eyes or what, but
yeah, so
maybe...
it was a very hard site to just try to get ideas of, but all of these things that I posted, they were all used as like science containers in the show. So they all have the emblems. They had every desk decor from Strange New Worlds and oh my god, sorry, Academy. So they had like all the trilobites and everything. I also think they had Pike's cookbook stand, the gold cookbook stand he used. Its starting bid was $30.
What?
And for those,
how cool would that be to have in your kitchen? Be like, yep, that was screen used. Oh, come on.
And like, I've got some friends coming out from Toronto in like a month, and I come to be like, can you go pick something up for me? So when I like some of the big stuff was kind of expensive. They had like the doorway frames, but even then I think the starting bid was like under $1,000. So if you have like disposable income and you're wanting to do something, I mean, they're not shipping. They say they don't have the capacity to do shipping, but if you can find someone in and around this area that can, you know, be a friend and pick it up, or if there's I don't know if there's like a one of those, like, what is that thing called? TaskRabbit that would go and pick it up for you. I don't know. If you can hire somebody in Toronto to go pick, because y'all, all of these like water bottles were like $20. It was the prices were for us lay folk. And I was really excited because I mean, what are you going to do with a transporter room door frame? Well, what are you going to do with all this? These would be my meal prep containers.
Yeah, these exactly. Use these.
I would be using these every day to bring my my lunch to work, and people be like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Let me tell you the story. This has lore to it."
Yes.
So head on over to Auction 403, based out of Toronto, Canada, and take a look through. They have several different lots. They're all up until April 23rd, so the end is coming pretty quick. But I was very impressed when I was looking through at how accessible some of this was, and a lot of them had no bids yet.
Wow.
So I think it's because we're catching it at a time where in 30 years, people will be like, I would kill to have, you know, Pike's cookbook holder. And we're catching it at a time where that foresight isn't there. But we've experienced this with like Next Gen and Voyager and DS9, where we're like, I wish I'd had a chance. So you have your chance. This is your chance. So,
well, Chad in the chat says those are fantastic gifts. My guess is these will circulate like pieces of the Berlin Wall. Interesting.
Oh, that's so poetic, Chad. I love that.
Yes. And Jim says all the money Paramount supposedly has for the merger, and they can't spare money for shipping. LOL. I hear you, Jim.
I get it, but I think what happened was Auction 403 bought the rights to this. They don't actually have Paramount money behind them. And I think they're expecting that a bunch of crazy Trekkies are going to be doing this. And most Trekkies are probably not in and around the greater Toronto area.
Yeah.
So the amount of shipping that would need to be done, they'd have to hire another person to do it, or several people to do it. So I think it's just capacity. Also, I don't know if these prices are Canadian or not. So let me tell you, if they're Canadian, Kelvin, for you, take
pennies
off. Take half off.
Wow.
For pounds.
Wow.
Like, don't get me wrong, I loved being in Scotland, but that country was expensive for Canadians.
You was in Edinburgh. Edinburgh's very expensive.
Oh, okay. Well,
not all of Scotland is expensive.
So anyway, I was so excited to see these little trinkets show up because, you know, again, I don't need a couch. I don't need any of this stuff, but I would love to have little things that I can integrate into my daily life that pay homage to this show and this franchise. So, I was so stoked. So everybody head on over after this and check it out and see if you can find a lovely person who can maybe go and do you a favor.
Yeah.
I think they said pickup was going to be April 26th. So.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Next Sunday.
So we also have a new retrospective coming out in November, of course, to commemorate the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. It will be called The Original Voyages of Visual History, and it's going to be a big, thick, image-rich coffee table book. So when I was looking through the stuff that they're going to be talking about, they're not leaving any stone unturned with this. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like IRL when I get my hands on it. I love the cover art too. It's kind of that vintage, like 1980s, 1990s comic book feel to it. You can kind of see that I think they're like mid-beam because their legs are sort of transparent. I just think it's stunning. So, of course, you know, any opportunity to play off of the 60th anniversary, any good business person is going to do. So here we are with another book.
Nice.
There's always another book.
We need a bigger coffee table.
Yeah. And then, of course, so last season, I did a review of every rumored Star Trek project that was going to potentially be greenlit. And after Academy's cancellation, I want to say almost all of those were just sort of dead in the water, but we have received a green light on a new Trek movie. And it is the one that is going to be with Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, who were together to direct and produce Dungeon and Dragon Honor Among Thieves. Apparently, they did a crazy good job with it. I haven't seen that particular movie myself, but these guys also look like the kind of producer directors who have been watching this franchise their whole life. I know that John Francis Daly has, because he did a lot of, when he was in Freaks and Geeks as a little kid, he did a lot of, he knew his vintage sci-fi. So I'm hoping that they bring a love and a reverence for this franchise into this new movie and not trying to, like, bless J.J. Abrams, but it was a bit much. Apparently JJ's going to be involved somehow in this new movie, and I was like, okay, can someone just like take the lens flare button away from him? We need no more lens flares. Thank you.
Agreed.
So, yeah,
agreed. Otherwise, I'm fine with him being involved.
Yeah. So the status confirmed in development, aiming for a 2026 release.
2026 release? I don't think
there's no way.
Surely not.
There's no way. So
no.
The story is going to be an original origin story set before the 2009 Trek. So
what does that even mean?
So what I'm thinking is they are going to explore something between the end of Enterprise and sort of Pike and all that. That's where I'm seeing them going. So I mean,
but still Kirk.
No.
Brand new characters.
Oh, new characters. Okay.
They also say new casting is expected and none of the Kelvin timeline crew will return.
But it's still Kelvin timeline or not?
That's a TBD.
Or is it before
it
would be before.
It can't be, because if it's before the Narada incident, there was no Kelvin timeline.
Yeah.
So crime.
Like, again, I've only ever watched Enterprise once, and I will admit that because the finale was so stupid, A, but also B, emotionally wrecked me because they couldn't just let Trip and T'Pol have a happily ever after. So anyway, I'm unpacking that in counseling. I'd be interested to see if they have any storylines that were maybe left a little bit unexplored from Enterprise that they're going to now flush out in this movie. And because there is a bit of a gap between those, if my memory serves me correctly. So
well, there's a gap between First Contact and Enterprise, and there's a gap between Enterprise and Strange New Worlds, or Discovery, we should say, really. So there's a lot of time and material, and almost maybe a little political, but how nice to actually, if there was a movie around the creation of the utopian, we don't need money future that just kind of, we're told it just happened. Now that would have been a really big deal to change the workings of the world now that we know the Vulcans are up there. So that kind of, I know they've talked about Star Trek United as the series, but I think that is further on. That's the Federation. The changing of Earth would actually be a very lovely tale to be told right now.
It'd be very, I think it'd be very needed. I think I said on a few episodes ago, I watched the new Running Man that was just released. The one that picks that for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I forget the guy who plays the lead. Yes, Chad, the Star Trek universe is endless. There are so many options. 100% agree with you. So the only thing that clicked in my head at the end of this new Running Man movie was, this is the start of the rise of the working class, where they finally had it with the rule of whatever. And I saw that as like the start of like World War III almost. And then I'm thinking, okay, so after this would come how many ever millions dead and blah, blah, blah. And then Zefram Cochrane finds himself in Montana. So I wonder if this is going to be something between World War III and Zefram Cochrane. Wow. But my only concern there is there going to be enough nostalgic Trek content?
Well, one would argue, is there any Trek before First Contact? I look at First Contact like the nativity scene of Star Trek, it's almost like a religious scene, the whole Vulcans coming down at the end. I love it so much.
Yeah, so and that's why I feel that these guys, because they took on deep Dungeons and Dragons, and very much like Trek, Dungeons and Dragons has like a very big cult following where people know everything about it, and the feedback was it was done really well. So that makes me hopeful that these that this will kind of follow that line, right, where they will actually be honoring and doing a really good job. The one I want to see, and obviously if this is pre-2009, this is, or pre like Kirk, it's not going to happen. I want to see a movie about the war with the Klingons and the Federation, where the Enterprise C comes in and saves them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I want to see something with like Narendra 3 and that whole thing. Maybe even have a point where like they disappear and they come back and almost see what happens. Maybe we even see a little Tasha Yar.
I'm sure Denise would be up for it.
Bless her soul. Maybe, but would we need a recast? No offense.
No.
We saw what happened when they CGI'd Brent Spiner, and I just don't know if we need that. Give us a movie with the Romulan War. Yes, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Jim.
Or, of course, what do I want to see? I want to see the genesis of Garak. I want to know what happened. Just do an autobiography on Garak as a movie, and I think a lot of us would be really excited. I was trying to talk to a person who's hasn't watched Trek in 30 years, and we were talking about our cars. And I was like, well, my car's named Garrick. And she's like, well, you named your car after a male character? And I was like, well, that's such a tiny part of who he is. And so I just sort of like went into who he is. And she's like, he's that gray guy, right? And I was like, you haven't watched the show in 30 years and you even could tell who Garrick was by a couple descriptions.
Brilliant.
So anyway, I know there's going to be a lot of rumors flowing around, but the one thing that's not a rumor is this has been greenlit. This is the first project that's been greenlit since the Paramount. Star Trek: A City in Order. Jim, I love you. I love that. Yes. So anyway, TBD on this, but there's something. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and this time it is not a freight train. So let's see what comes out from this. So
brilliant.
Yes.
Well, let's bring in the others and see what they have to say about this new green lit movie. I'm still shaking my head. No, I've said this ever since how many movies have they said that it's going to be? And still we have nothing since Beyond. So
Amy's going in with low expectations. What do you think, Robin?
Yeah, I agree with Amy. I'm not going to be holding my breath for this one. So we shall see. You know, I would love a surprise and for it to happen, but just with my expectations are definitely lowered from, you know, the past promises that have been made.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like for a movie? Like, kind of, we've thrown some kind of timelines and time periods. What would your next movie be, Robin?
I honestly, I have no clue. Like someone commented, you know, the Star Trek universe is endless. So we've tried with Academy, new characters, you know, and you had some nostalgia in there as well, which I loved Academy. But I do want something kind of fresh as well. But I think you have to balance it with, you know, that traditional fan base, you know, so they can appreciate it and love it as well. So time wise, I don't have any specific time. But, you know, maybe the eugenics war or the World War III, you know, I think those would be some good places to pick and choose from.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, the only thing that's giving me hope is that, like, this is a release from Paramount themselves that this has been greenlit. So that gives it a bit more, like,
gravitas,
ability to it, as opposed to just sort of like rumors that have maybe come from the actors themselves who are saying, this is what I'm pitching or whatnot. Honestly, you know, Robin, you were so right that whatever new story they tell needs to have tie-ins to what we've known over the last 60 years. And I think that the reason, Unica Moon has said, I've always wanted to see a Borg origin story. Wouldn't that be fabulous? Because they've existed for a long time. So this could be pre-Kirk and absolute work.
Go and read the Destiny Knowledge trilogy.
Yeah.
The novels. That's a great Borg origin story.
I've always wanted as a TV show, I thought it would be great to have a show focused on Ben Sisko when he's on the Saratoga, and he could be played by Sirach. And the series would conclude with the Battle of Wolf 359 and would then lead into DS9. But you would get to see his relationship with his wife and with Jake being born and growing up. And I think that would be a really neat series.
Oh, Brad, that literally gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because The Rock really has grown up to look like a young Avery Brooks.
Yeah.
Hasn't he?
Very much.
Yeah. But I was going to say the one recent series that I think did it the best with news story versus like callbacks has definitely been Lower Decks. So I hope that these guys give Tawny Newsome a quick call to bring in her influence, because I think she would be freaking brilliant to have. And I have a lot of faith in her love for this franchise. So, Bradley, I have to ask, are you going to go check out the
auction?
auction because
Yeah,
you're
I might check it out. I just have to figure out how I'm going to fit a turbo lift in my VW Atlas. So,
Well, U-Haul's not that expensive. You could just rent a U-Haul for the day.
I think of dealing with anything,
my husband I'm going.
you'll be dealing with all the people who are going to be direct messaging you now, saying,
Exactly.
"Oh, just go and
can you pick this up for me?"
While you're there, if you see a brass cookbook stand,
yeah, I'll keep an eye out.
Brilliant. Well, Kristin, thank you as always for your research this week, especially considering the week you've had. So we're very, very grateful. And Bradley and Robin, we'll see you a little bit later in the show. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, what have we got next, Amy?
Well, let's bring Bradley Barbour to the show. Very excited. Met him at Star Trek Las Vegas. Bradley, years ago. And so thank you for coming on the Viewscreen.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's so nice to be reunited. So,
I know. It's been a while. Because when was the last time you were at STLV?
It was probably 4 years ago, I think. I used to go every year, but there was the pandemic and all that.
So do we get to see you this year for the 60th?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I think I've missed out on tickets. So
yeah,
there's copper available. Just saying.
Okay.
Amy's doing the hard sell. So yeah, interestingly, Bradley, we're talking about online community. One of the reasons the Viewscreen exists is when I met you in 2019 at STLV, we all went back home, went back to our normal lives. You get your little messenger groups, your WhatsApp groups. And then when the pandemic hit, a lot of us, we decided to do a watch party, and we had a big Zoom call. And we just did that every week. The watch party elements very quickly went to the side, and it just became drinks on a Sunday evening. But it was just connecting with our friends all over the world. And it was a very open door policy. We would put it in our Facebook group and say, if you want to come on our chat, it's at this time. And we had some people just join, some people come every week, and kind of just said, what if we just recorded this? And that's kind of created a podcast, created a format. But yeah, it all started with STLV and kind of coming together during the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because that was my experience with STLV was when I've gone many years, every year in a row. And eventually it started to transition into the feeling that I was almost going more to be with my friends at the convention than it was to see, this actor or this actor. And it was almost like the convention itself was secondary. Yeah. And primary was getting to see people like the two of you, and the community that was built through that. Yeah.
It's so nice because you make these very strong friendships very, very quick because you have that thing in common through Star Trek, and then you make friends with them online, and throughout the course of the year you get to see what they're up to, and then you connect again the year after at the next convention. It's so beautiful. It really, really is.
Yeah.
So the reason we brought you on today is actually we're here with our online community week, and it would be remiss of us not to point out and congratulate that you are an admin of one of the largest Facebook groups that I'm part of, the Gay Trek Geeks. So tell us a little bit about the group, Bradley, and kind of what we were just saying off air about how it came about.
Yeah, so it came about actually 19 years ago in 2007. Wow.
That was the year Facebook launched, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. And so it was a friend of mine from university had created the group, and of course I had joined right away. And it was just a fun group that was meant to create a safe space for Trekkies who were part of the Pride community, and he eventually left the group, and just sort of putting social media in the back seat, or on a back burner, to focus on real life stuff. And so I took over admin of the group, which I've been doing for many years now. And then I invited my friend Jason, who is an STLV regular. So there's the two of us who look after the group. And it was really interesting. It was, for many, many years, it was just a small handful of people. And then when Discovery came out, and Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds and Starfleet, there was just a huge burst of people wanting to join. So yeah, we're now at 9,100 members. About 3,600 of those are active members. So they post or they communicate back and forth regularly.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was really surprised with, and this was before 9 a.m. people, and there were already 4 new posts, and I'm like, people, what's going on? So it seems to be very active. I'm very impressed, because like, I've been in a lot of groups, and especially ones that have just are trying to get started, and it's that engagement and the continual posting that makes it successful. And so that is so great that you've got this community. Is there much moderating with a group this size?
Yeah, there is day to day, just from a new member perspective. There's new people requesting to join every day. I have 3 questions that they have to, or 2 questions. One is, what is your favorite Star Trek series? And which starship did Captain Janeway command? And, it's interesting seeing what people respond with, but it's also a way to filter out bots and people who aren't actually Star Trek fans. They're, for whatever reason, they may be joining or trying to join. And so if they haven't answered the questions, they're just not allowed into the group.
And is that successful? Do you find a lot of applications from bots? Yeah,
there is quite a few each day. And so it's easy. Yeah. Sometimes there's a red flag, like they'll answer the questions, but then you have to agree to the rules of the group, which are things like be kind and courteous, no hate speech and stuff like that. And if they don't agree to the rules, but they've answered the questions, that's a bit of a red flag to me. So I usually decline those requests as well. And sometimes they'll resubmit and agree to the rules, but sometimes they don't. So
wow. So then when people are in, are people, once they're a member, allowed to post freely, or do you have to approve a post before it goes on the wall, so to speak?
Yeah, people are allowed to post freely. Sometimes I will turn on post approval if there's been some complaints about some posts, or especially lately, or in today's age with AI. We had there were some members who were posting a lot of AI stuff repeatedly, where it was almost becoming spam because it was clogging up the page. And so we created the rule that you're not allowed to post anything more than like 1 AI post per day. And so all the members are really good about reporting things if they see comments that are hateful or disrespectful, or if they don't feel that something's been posted that, because it has to be Star Trek related. And so the membership themselves have been really great at sort of keeping an eye on things and then reporting things. And then I check on things any of the reports, I check on my phone as I get them, basically. And so yeah, it's been great that way, because it keeps everything filtered and sort of curated and keeps out all the garbage.
And do you still enjoy doing this, or is it almost like a second job? It sounds quite involved, especially with it so active and that many members.
Yeah. yeah, I love doing it because it's not too bad. And there's not a huge amount of drama in the group. Like sometimes there's drama, but usually it doesn't often spill out into the page or the community itself. They'll keep things behind the scenes. And there's only been a few instances where I've had to outright ban people because unfortunately, even though we're, now we have not just members of the Pride community, but we have allies who are part of the group, but unfortunately, one of those things is even if you're part of the Pride community, it doesn't mean that you're not racist or not bigoted in some sort of way. So, in the past, I have had to remove members who were posting like memes and comments and things that were racist. And usually my rule is you get one warning because we're all adults. So I usually give one warning behind the scenes, and then you're out the airlock. So it's I think that's been really, really helpful because it's kept things moving in the group fairly good and kept it a safe space.
When you do give a warning to someone, what tends to be the reaction? Is it almost surprise, like they didn't know the post could cause offense, or are they embarrassed, or do they argue back? I imagine it's a bit of a mix, but what do you find?
Yeah, sometimes it's usually a bit of a surprise because I think some people think that because the group is so large and there is only two of us, that they can get away with a bit more, but that's that hasn't been the case. Some people do try to argue. They'll say it's their free speech or freedom of expression or whatever, and I'm just like, well, this is my group and it's on social media, and we're not having any of that.
Good for you.
If you want to be like that, go and start your own group.
Yeah, I mean, they agreed to the rules. Here's the rules, Yeah.
Exactly.
Brilliant. I imagine there's been, on the flip side of the coin, there's been some kind of lovely stories over the years as well, where people have, met and started chatting through the group and then met at conventions. Do you have people come up to you at STLV who know you through this group?
Yes, yeah. Because in the past, whenever I've been at STLV, I've always posted that I would be there, and so I have met a number of members who have also gone, and it's really neat to hear about some of the friendships that have formed over the years, because as much as people post, they also then communicate, through DMs and sort of behind the scenes, and so it's neat getting to know that people have made connections that way through the group. So
yeah.
Well, we do have a picture of you at STLV standing at one of the props, the Borg charging station.
Always a good time, STLV.
Yeah.
Especially the Orions. Yeah. Robin.
Right?
You'll see my Orion sister.
I'm just so impressed. And how long and why did you agree to do this? This is so incredible.
I'm not sure. It's funny because even after the first time, I joked about the amount of work that it takes, and that, maybe I would just do it the once, but we ended up, I think, doing it three times or so, because it does take several hours to apply the green makeup, and you have to do touch-ups throughout the day because it's water-based, so it's easy to wash off at the end of a long convention day. The last thing you want to have to worry about is spending too much time taking it all off before you go to bed. I'm sure that the Rio wouldn't be very impressed with green sheets.
Green sheets.
But so much fun. Yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime for sure. I could do maybe one more
brilliant
Orion convention and then maybe hang up my green. So.
Yeah. Getting some love in the comments here. Nice Orion group cosplay.
Yeah, it was especially fun traveling as a group, you know, like the doing the matching cosplay. It was, I think we spent more time getting photos taken with people
Right.
than anything else.
Yeah, I was about to say you.
Sorry, Amy.
I can imagine you wouldn't be able to walk down the corridor. I mean, it must take you 2 hours to. Everyone's going to want to stop and take a picture with you.
Yes, yeah, that was absolutely the case.
You're like, wait, I wanted to go somewhere and do something, and no, this is not your time.
Lunch is an hour in an hour and a half, so let's start heading to the restaurant.
It would be one of my recommendations to a community when you meet people and you get little friendship groups chatting online. Coordinate your cosplays because it looks really good on photos. We tend to do the scants all on the same day, and that tends to draw a little bit of a crowd as well. So highly recommend finding your little group and coordinating.
I mean, Starbucks needs to, get this on their way, some cross marketing.
I don't think that Starbucks is there anymore, is it? It's gone now. Is that now where the new Excellent place is in the Rio?
So yeah.
Yeah.
So no more Starbucks photos, sadly. But,
yeah.
Well, speaking of Orion, shall we reunite Bradley with his Orion sister and bring in Robin and Kristin as well? So Robin, you were also on those photos too, so I'm sure you have fond memories of your Orion cosplay.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was just like Bradley mentioned, it took hours to get the paint on, and I think the guys had a more challenging time because I wore pants most of the time, so I just had to do like my upper body, whereas we have to do their legs and everything. And I want to say the first time we did it 2 days in a row because we were invited to like gaze in space one night, and then we got home, showered, and then we actually painted ourselves the next day. So the first time we did it, it was actually, 2 days in a row.
Wow. That's a lot of paint.
Yeah.
I remember that second morning of applying the makeup, it being very rough.
Yes.
We were out very late the night before, and I think it was then for the Saturday, which of course is the big day of the convention. So we didn't want to miss too much of it. So we had to start early in the morning, putting on the green.
Have you guys entered the costume contest? I don't know why they have that butt crack early Saturday morning. That is the wrong time to have a costume contest.
We didn't. I think just because it was so early, and it took us so many hours to get prepped, I don't think it was even on our radar to enter it, but that would have been a great idea if we were able to pull it off.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah.
Cool. And Kristin, did anything that Bradley said about the Facebook groups resonate? I know you have a bit of a back and forth relationship with social media at the moment, don't you? And I can imagine there's a lot of noise out there that's sometimes quite difficult to cut through to see the positive.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest gripes is when people throw out the freedom of speech when they're just trying to essentially be a bigoted a-hole. And look, your free speech does not supersede someone else's right to exist, is very much how I look at it. So if you're out here trying to say, oh, it's my free speech to, come at somebody for whatever, I have no time for you. So I'm really, thankful to mods and admins all across the social media platforms that do ensure that those people don't have a voice. Because I'm sorry, hate speech is not a voice. Or it's not a voice that we should be hearing. Just, I'm sorry, you're so angry with life, but you know what? Go scream into a pillow.
Yeah.
So Bradley, you do amazing work, and it's thankless work, and it is, I can't even imagine the crap you have to deal with.
We're at an interesting time as well, because I've found that over the years, manners and decorum for a lot of people have just gone out the window.
Yes.
And even hate speech aside, the idea that every time there's a post about a new show where someone is like, I really love this episode of Starfleet Academy, there's going to be how many people who are poo-pooing, the new show or that episode. And I'm like, no, like, if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't need to post it and rain on someone else's sunny day.
Exactly.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Literally the golden rule.
A very old-fashioned thing we were all brought up with that really should still apply today.
And it's also unique in the way too that it would be interesting if we had the social media that we have now back during the original series in TNG and DS9 and Voyager, because I find that the new shows they are very much targeted compared to the old series. And I think that it is part of the, where we fall in time, with having all of this social media and keyboard warriors and anonymity behind the screen and stuff. What would the old shows be just as criticized?
I think so. I think so, because we hear that from the TNG cast when they talk about the reaction to the shows and everything. They said people hated us. And as somebody who started with sort of TNG, because TOS was, I only knew the movies by the time I was watching Next Gen. I knew nothing else. I just loved it. And I thought, who wouldn't? I'm just some little kid. And I'm going, who wouldn't love the fact that they're keeping things going with the new crew? But I remember my mom, I think, did not like Voyager. And I think it had something to do with some sort of internal misogyny that women were like, that, she's a baby boomer, so women were not supposed to be in these roles. And I'm a young girl going, let's go, ladies. And my mom was like, ugh, just ruined it by trying to put a woman in charge. So when in retrospect, I'm looking like, Mom, are you okay? She was not okay. But I, just seeing all that Voyager, so Joel's saying Voyager got death threats phoned in all the time in the beginning. And again, I can see it, but look how it's aged, right? It's aged with grace. It's aged with love and reverence. And I think we're going to see that for some of this. And I think in even just like 5 years time, people look back and be like, crap, Academy should have had more of a chance.
Yeah. There's also the commercial angle that there wasn't years ago now. Actual rage baiting is profitable for people. Amount of clicks, amount of likes, it builds community, it builds money for people. So actually posting hateful posts to drum up these comments of people wanting to take you down, that's a second income for some people.
And I'm sorry, what a horrible way to make a living. You might as well,
there are easier ways.
You might as well work for a repo company. Anyway, no offense to people who work for a repo company, everyone's got to pay the bills, but
Robin, didn't you have someone come for you recently online as well, out of nowhere?
I actually had to make a reel, kind of like a PSA telling people, they would DM me about Academy and how much they hated Academy. And I'm just like, look, I'm not a safe space for, your issues with Academy. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Why are you, I don't know if like hate watching is a thing, but I'm just like, why are you continuing to watch it if you dislike it so much? So after making that post, I had some people come after me in the DMs, and, that's definitely a rare thing. Like, I try to keep my Instagram page very positive, monitor the comments as much as I can. So it's definitely rare, but, I just kind of have to make a PSA that, I do block people, if you come at me sideways.
Wow.
Well, Bradley, thank you so much. I also did love hearing that you opened it up to allies. So can I join your group?
Of course. Of course.
Yay. Okay, so
Absolutely.
everyone, it'll be interesting to see, Bradley, how many new requests you get for your group, because I will be one of them.
Yeah. And I will say it is a very positive group. There's other Star Trek groups on Facebook that are not as humorous, entertaining, and uplifting. And Bradley, you clearly do a very good job of weeding the garden. So well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we'll see you guys a little bit later in the show. I think it's time we took our little break.
What's happening on BQN, you ask? Let's chart the Star Trek cosmos with all good things. Embark on a comprehensive journey through the entire Star Trek universe with the insightful crew of Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. Galaxy class, engage! Stephen and Stefan pilots this Alpha Quadrant mission, meticulously covering all aspects of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Infinite diversity. Stay current with the newest Star Trek frontiers alongside Chrissy and Thad. Union Federation. Whether your allegiance lies with Starfleet or the Planetary Union, Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley offer a unified front, discussing both current Star Trek and the truly Trek at heart, the Orville. Crack open that book with Peter and the Trek Book Club podcast. Delve into a rich tapestry of Star Trek's beta canon. What's the tea, Bev? Christos spills the latest Trek news and fandom insights with an essential LGBTQIA+ perspective, complete with engaging guest interviews. Our visual voyages that you can find on YouTube as well as podcasts are Trek Masters. Think you're a Starfleet Academy graduate? Test your knowledge with Davey and MC's challenging Star Trek quiz show. And the Viewscreen. Tune in live on Sundays for your dose of a Trek-inspired talk show. Kelvin and Amy host new 8-week seasons each spring and fall. But beyond the final frontier, we have Bargain Bin Gamer. Davey and Mitch, your self-proclaimed gamer guides, lead you to digital treasures, unearthing and reviewing the most affordable video game gems. Cinema Z. Grab your metaphorical popcorn for Mark and Matt's cinematic deep dives, unearthing overlooked films that demand your attention. History with the Zalogis. In order to never repeat it, tune in as Chrissy and Jason deliver bite-sized snippets of historical events from around the globe. You can unlock deeper levels of engagement with our exclusive patron perks. The Hive Mind is where you can join our random script readings, live reaction shows, and roundtable discussions. We appreciate you choosing BQN to fill your auditory needs. Thank you for listening. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay. So it's time to bring on our final guest of the day. So let's bring in Robin. Welcome her back on screen.
Hey.
So welcome back to the Viewscreen, Robin. Thank you for joining us again this season.
Thank you for having me.
So when we think of online and the community, I'm automatically drawn to you because you put so much out there. And, you know, as we've just been saying with Bradley, social media can sometimes be a little bit of a dumpster fire of negativity. And I always find that your interventions, for want of a better term, and your efforts, they're all about health, about positivity, or just making someone laugh. It's always really, really uplifting, everything you do. So thank you, first of all, I'd like to say, for everything.
My pleasure.
So we had you on to talk about your memes, and we talked about them last time you were on the Viewscreen. We will touch on them a little bit more, but let's bring up your content, because you've been quite busy recently in a diverse range of actions. So if we bring Robin's slides up. Thank you very much. So we'll just go back to slide 1. So recently, you were invited to be part of the Trek Talks fundraiser. This was the it was the pancreatic cancer, wasn't it? Fundraising.
This was for the Houston Coalition Food Bank.
Thank you. Beg your pardon. So tell us a little bit about how this came about.
So I was approached by the Sci-Fi Sisters they traditionally do the pre-show, but with the passing of one of their members, they wanted to kind of switch it up this year, and decided to invite me as one of the individuals in the pre-show. So, you know, I was like, oh my goodness, I've never done anything like this before, you know, outside of the podcast with you guys. But, you know, I accepted it and I was like, I'm just going to roll with it, get out of my comfort zone, get some growth. And it actually ended up being a really cool experience. My only thing, I didn't know all of us would be on the screen at the same time. So sometimes I'm looking down, but it ended up being a really awesome experience.
Brilliant. And you were on right at the top of the show, weren't you? So anyone who didn't watch live, it is on YouTube. It is there. It's saved. You can go and watch it, and you'll see Robin, and you can see there Matt Jennings as well, part of our BQN family. We're on. So yeah, we're all really, really proud of you creating and raising so much money for a great charity.
Yes, for sure.
Brilliant. Okay, so next, something that people may more traditionally know you for is you invite members of your social network to participate in fitness challenges as well.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about this, because does this mirror your work life? You're involved in fitness and health and well-being, aren't you?
It does. So professionally, I'm a physical therapist, and I try to make fitness unimportant or prioritize it in my life. So I was just wondering how I could bring that to my community and just make it more beyond me just posting memes and interacting with people on DMs. You know, how can I get others involved in fitness as well? So one of my colleagues posted about the Step Up app. And I loved it because I used to do Apple Watch challenges, but of course not everyone has an Apple Watch. So with the Step Up app, you can connect your phone. You know, you don't have to necessarily have a wearable in order to participate, and it just tracks your steps throughout the day. And then you get to see sort of a running tally of individuals, and it's pretty fun because we have one guy, you know, his name is Tom. He's from Australia, so you know, he's usually at the top of the pack, but you'll see when his day is over, so you have people try to, you know, catch up with them and things like that. So
because of the time difference.
Yes, the time difference.
Oh, wow.
So they do take that into account. You know, you'll see day over under his name once, you know, his 24 hours are up. So it takes into account time difference, and it's just a really fun way to sort of get moving and motivate yourself to get moving throughout the day.
Yeah. And how does the interactivity with members? Do people just message each other, or is it?
Yes, it has a chat function, but not too many people use that. You know, a lot of the times it's just, you know, I'll have one friend, he's like, what is Tom doing today? You know, and I posted about it, and it happened that Tom had ran a marathon that day. So, you know, so we interact not so directly on the Step Up app, although it does have a chat function. It's still kind of through Instagram where a lot of the communication happens.
So really, I guess this is the theory of an accountability partner.
Yes.
If you see these regular friends in this group, then, and you're not participating, you might get a little poke, say, are you joining us this week, this month?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of wanting to show up because you're part of a group.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like accountability partner. You hit the nail on the head with that, because, you know, I'll open the app and I'm just like, okay, I need to go for a walk. You know, I can't be too low in the the standings. I was like, let's go outside for a walk. So little things like that, where, you know, you go get some vitamin D, get some steps in, and increase your standings. So it's pretty cool.
So that is so interesting. And I'd like to know, how long have you been doing this step up? We did it with our BQN, but we were doing the Apple Watch challenges, and we had some issues, like Rhea had the Garmin watch, and so it was difficult to get her. And it sort of just fell apart. So I want to know, what is the trick to keeping it going, and how long have you been doing this now?
I can't remember. I think I started in the fall of last year. And it started, you can create different groups. So I started with just my friends, and I was just like, you know, after our Apple group challenges kind of fell apart as well, I was like, you know, let me just bring this to, you know, Robin Treks and see if anyone's interested in doing it. And I do like that aspect that it supports Apple Watch, Garmin, you know, like any kind of wearable, including your phone. So I think that's what's kind of kept it going. And then it's kind of, once you join, you have to honestly leave if you want to leave. So I think a lot of people just kind of stay and participate, you know, unless they want to just, you know, leave the challenge and not do it anymore. But I found this to be, because it supports so many different wearables and your phone, I found this one to be, you know, has more staying power than the Apple Watch challenges.
Yeah, I do remember as well. I can't remember the name of it, but wasn't there a Star Trek challenge?
Yes. So the Conquerors,
yeah,
I think it's called the Conquerors. I forget the name, but they're medals. So there was like a version of 6 medals. 3 were TNG, 3 were Strange New Worlds, and I think they were like 100 miles a piece. And that's what kind of kickstarted the whole fitness thing. I wanted to complete and, you know, earn the medals. And I sort of, you know, told people about it on my page. So we started actually with a Facebook group of people completing those specific challenges. There were not that many of us, probably like 20 of us on Facebook doing that. And, you know, once a majority of people had earned the medals, you know, that's when I started looking more into Apple Watch challenges, and then eventually the Step Up app, just to see what I could keep going. So a lot of those people that completed those challenges are actually on the Step Up app as well.
I see. Brilliant. I think it's so noble to encourage people to make exercise part of their daily life, especially when we're here in a community, a fandom that we're all sat down watching a TV show.
Yes.
So to actually make it active is brilliant.
Yeah.
So when we're not running around clocking up points on Step Up, you are also a really big organizer and encourager of your community getting together for a watch party. So I've never actually formally seen or used any proper watch party software. So I think when we were talking earlier about when we used to all jump on a Zoom call, we just used to all have it on TV and press play at the same time. And we all just used to talk over it and nothing really happened. So we abandoned after like 2 weeks. So tell us, someone who's very successful and more organized at these things, how do they work?
So I use an app called Cosmi. I think that's how you pronounce it. KOSMI, Cosmi. And you can share your screen, and it also has a chat function. So what I do, you know, I usually announce it in my stories. There's a link in my bio for the actual link to get to the watch party room. And I'll share my screen, you know, I'll have it playing in a separate window, share my screen, and then everyone can see it together. So there's no sort of, you know, everyone clicking start at the same time. You're actually seeing everyone seeing everything at the same time. And then we'll have a little chat side by side where, you know, we can do different commentary or make jokes. And I feel like that's the part that makes it fun. Just because yesterday, I had several for my birthday, and I think we watched The Ship, which is a DS9 episode. And, you know, the little guy, Munez, is introduced in the beginning, and we were just like, oh man, a new character with lines, he's dead. You know, it's just like, it's just little things like that. Or for First Contact Day, that was probably my largest one. That was about 35 people, and we watched First Contact, and
Wow.
it was just a grand time. So there's a free version, and I pay like, I think it's like $5 a month. So you can get up to like 1,000 people. I've never, of course, had that many. But it also allows you to share in like high definition and things like that. So this has worked out really well for me. And it's an opportunity for individuals of the Robin Treks, you know, the follower list, to kind of get together and chat among themselves as well. Because last night I actually had to run an errand, so I just left it going, you know, and I came back and people were still watching it. So yeah, it's a really cool app and system to set up. Easy system to set up.
Yeah, there's a lot of chat out there about the proliferation of loneliness, even in such a connected time that we all live, that because people tend to live their lives virtually at the moment, you know, as Star Trek fans, most days we throw an episode on when we're happy, we throw an episode on when we're sad, just as an opportunity for someone else to be sat down watching the same episode at the same time as you. It does kind of combat a lot of that loneliness that people must feel. So yeah, I'd be interested to see the dynamics. I must join one to see whether you throw an episode on and it's a relatively new fan who follows you for your memes, who's never seen that episode before, and then you'd get some know-it-all like me putting all the behind-the-scenes gossip and spoiling it for them.
Yeah, it was so funny. One of my friends who's kind of like a regular, he joined, and I think it was The Haunted, like a TNG episode. And he was like, oh my goodness. He was like, I don't think I've ever seen this episode before, you know? So it was pretty fun for him to watch it, never having seen it before, not remembering that, you know, he had seen it before.
Brilliant. And we couldn't bring you on without talking some of your memes as well. So your following continues to grow. It's really funny, actually. There's people who I chat with on social media, and they constantly forward me your post saying, oh my God, have you seen this account? It's like, yes. So the one that struck me from what you put on earlier in the week was the continuity between Nog and Harry Kim's career in Starfleet. Poor Harry, the eternal ensign, compared with Nog going from civilian to cadet to ensign to lieutenant in about 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Poor Harry. And is anything new in the world of the memes in terms of the way you're creating them, how you're putting your little stamp on to protect from, you know, theft almost?
Not really. I've been honestly sharing more that I've found just because I'm back to working. So, you know, sometimes I'll put like a little thing in my story, like adulting got in the way of my posts, you know, like it's, you know, 5 p.m. and I haven't posted yet just because I've been working. So, you know, I've been sharing a lot more that I find in different places just to make it easier, you know, because it takes more time to create them, or, you know, I'll find sort of like a steal or something from one of the TV shows and just put a relatable tagline on the top of it. But yeah, I would say it's kind of probably 50-50 now with me like sharing and creating what I find. So that's the only new thing. But yeah, it continues to grow and it's just a fun ride. You know, I have people that message me that, you know, it brings joy to their day. Thank you. You know, thanks for the laughs. And it's sometimes with the situation like of the country right now, you know, it's not necessarily a positive experience. So, you know, it's kind of like I love being able to bring some laughter or joy to someone's life, you know, in such a heavy world that we live in right now. So it's kind of like the thing where if you not laugh so you don't cry type of thing. So yeah, just I try to keep it going. You know, work definitely gets in the way of it sometimes, but those like little messages keep me going. And also just connecting with people. I think Bradley mentioned, you know, folks coming up to him at STLV, and it used to honestly make me anxious because, you know, I would just be walking around and someone would be like, Robin, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, I feel bad, I don't know your name or anything like that, but you know, I definitely got used to it this past year and decided, you know, to take pictures with people that would come up with me and share their, if it was okay with them, share their tags and things like that. But it's been cool seeing that community go from digital to in real life, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's bring in Bradley and Kristin as well.
Yes.
And we can take those slides down. Thank you. So, Bradley, I do know a lot of Robin's content often gets reshared in your group as well. So there's a little bit of cross-pollination there.
It's been funny, as you said, when you get friends who send you memes and things from Robin. So I've had local friends who have never been to STLV or anything like that, and they'll send me memes from Robin, and I'm just like, why are they following, like, how are they following Robin? Why are they sending me things from Robin? Like, there's no, you know, of course, it's the, you know, everyone is following Robin, but it's just, it's funny when that local, like, real life connection across distances, you know, happens. It's funny. But
yeah, it's so funny. I have a brother who's really big into Star Trek, but not in any of my communities. And so like he'll send me Robin's memes like, have you seen this? I'm like, yeah.
And Kristin, I know you're a fan of the memes as well. We like a meme of the week here on Viewscreen.
Yes. And like Chad is saying here, memes really do keep me sane during these times. Gestures broadly. This mess. this. But it's so funny. I'll be flicking through, trying to find like a meme of the week for the Viewscreen, and I'll be like, oh, this is hilarious. Oh, it's Robin. And
it's Robin's.
I want to find one that's outside the group that we can pull in, but no, it's, yeah, you come across my path a lot of times when I Google Star Trek memes. You're like top of the search results right now, so it's really, that's so cool to see that you've built this so organically and it's really just taken off. But no, memes are yeah, and it's Star Trek memes like last week, you know, it's just me holding Star Trek from his hand while the world crumbles.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's the joy that we need.
Well, Robin, keep doing the good work that you do. Keep getting us up off our bottoms, walking around and moving. Keep making us smile. Keep making us laugh. You're truly doing the Lord's work. Thank you so much. While we've got everyone on screen, let's do a little bit of a roundup of where people can find you on social media if they don't already follow you. Everyone already does. But Robin, would you like to start off? Where can people continue the conversation?
Yes, so I'm primarily on Instagram as Robin Trucks. That's where you can find my memes, and you know, I post. If you're interested in joining the Step Ups, just send me a DM and I'll send you the link. As well as, you know, I post when I do watch parties and my stories as well. So that's how you can connect with me with those different things.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Bradley, how about yourself? Where can people find you online?
Yeah, well, you can find me on Instagram at BradleyBarbour1701, or the Gay Trek Geeks group on Facebook, which of course all are welcome. And that is very Star Trek focused. My Instagram, it's just my day-to-day life stuff, but everyone is still welcome to connect with me there, of course. So.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us. And apologies, it's taken us to season 5 to get you on.
That's okay.
Thank you. And Kristin, where can you be these days?
I am online sometimes at K-Strats. I found myself less and less on Facebook. I feel like Facebook is where the growth
Falling
is.
apart.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy, isn't there? You know, what
Yeah.
started with Twitter is moving to Facebook. Instagram's kind of all right.
You know what I miss? I miss
What?
MySpace. You
Bring
had
it
your
back.
top-
Make
you
a
had your
movement.
top 8 that you would do. You could like code in a song and a background and have a lot of fun with MySpace. And then Facebook took over, and now it's just people reposting AI or conspiracy crap that isn't true. And it just ruins my day. So there's my little soapbox about Facebook. But I am mostly active on Reddit under user Geeks fan club, where they actually have an entire subreddit called Star Trek memes. And it is really funny because they always bring up DeClerck when anything is happening in politics. They bring up the guys that kidnap Geordi to make it go. Oh my gosh, my brain isn't working today.
The mind's eye.
No, the ones the stupid guys.
Oh, the Packleds.
The Packleds, thank you. And they always superimpose like Trump and JD's faces on the Packleds.
Oh,
it's so
yeah.
funny. It's so funny. So anyway, if you're looking for some more memes to get you through this, head over to Reddit/r/Star Trek memes and go check out some content from the users there. And again, well moderated.
Brilliant.
Very
Brilliant.
good.
Thank you, my love. We look forward
Thank
to seeing
you.
you next week for our season
Next
finale.
week.
Can't believe it's already here.
Yay.
I know.
So, Amy, another packed show. Let's remind people, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me in our Discord server and our Facebook group, BQN Collective. Kelvin, where can people find you?
I'm on most of the socials at Kelvin's Timeline if you want to come and find me directly. Or you can find me in the Facebook group, the BQN Collective, and in Bradley's group as well. I love seeing all of that. So, yeah, that is it. So, shall we take a look and see what we've got coming up next week for our season finale? So, we've done it again. We've got both guests with JJ.
This is so crazy.
I forgot. So, in true tradition, we do like to end our seasons with a visit from Jim with his trivia. So, we're looking forward to what hellishly difficult quiz Jim has put together for us for next week. So, get sweating up, people. I remember this is for the viewers to play as well as the guests. And James is back as well. So James is going to come on and talk about Beta Canon. And just to drop a little bit of a hint, it is a anniversary special in Beta Canon. So he wants to look at some of the releases that celebrate significant anniversaries in Star Trek's history. So he's already doing his prep for that, you'll be pleased to know. He takes it very seriously.
So very excited for next week. Again, our season finale to wrap up season 5.
Absolutely. Can't wait. And we would love to hear what you thought of today's episode before we get to our season finale next week. So please make sure you tell us. And there's several ways you can do that. You can join our Facebook group, as we've been mentioning, the BQN Collective, or you can join our Discord server. And you can follow the entire network on Bluesky at BQN Podcasts to continue the discussion over there. All of the links and invite codes are in the show notes.
And a huge thank you to our Patreon members for your ongoing support of the network and our show. You'll never hear a commercial on BQN, so if you'd like to keep that going, please go to patreon.com/BQN.
Now, if becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support our network and the show just by sharing our posts, dropping some likes and some comments, or just talking about us with your friends and helping build our little community of awesome listeners.
And a huge thank you to our associate producer, JJ, who has designed and printed our Viewscreen Pride badges. And if you are in the area, Trek Long Island, June 12th through the 14th, there will be a table there for BQN. Thad with Infinite Diversity will be there, and you can pick up your badge there.
Thank you again to all of our guests today, to everyone who's joined us online to watch the show and for participating, and to those who are rewatching or re-listening to us as a podcast or catching up on YouTube.
Well, can we get us back on screen? Just so we can say goodbye. There we are. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you same time next week.
It's time to end transmission. See you later, everyone.